हम्म.
सेव्ह आता. कुठली विंडो सिलेक्ट केली तुम्ही का ओबीएस मध्ये? थांबा 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 होऊ द्या. होऊ द्या. दिसायला पाहिजे काहीतरी.
ते बंद असल्यावर टाइम वाढतो.
हा, येईल ना.
थोडा वेळ लागतो ना त्याला.
लिंक पाठवा बरं ते.
कशावर? ही का?
ते तिथं ते सेंडचं बटन आहे का? सेंड सेंड सेंड
एंड आहे
दिसतं का सेंड?
हे
हां
शेअर.
हां, शेअर करा. कॉपी करा ते. व्हॉट्सअप आहे ना तुमचं चालू, व्हॉट्सअपला टाका आम्हाला फोटोला पण. बघू का पहिले दिसतं का? हां, ठीक आहे.
काहीच नाही दिसत आहे ब्लॅकच.
विंडो कुठली विंडो कॅप्चर केला आहे ते एकदा ओबीएस मध्ये जा. काय दिसणार त्याच्यावर? ते इथं जा ॲडमध्ये जा.
इथं
तिकडं तिकडं बाजूला
कॅप
ॲडमध्ये. हां जा ॲडमध्ये.
कॅप्चर विंडो ना.
हां डिस्प्ले कॅप्चर म्हणा. करा ओके. आवाज येणारच ना. ओके करा. हां ते विंडो कॅप्चर काढून टाका. हां, काढा ते. रिमूव्ह म्हणून डिलीट करा. ते रिमूव्ह करा. येस करा.
हम्म.
आता दिसते. दिसणार ना आता. आता जे विंडोवर येईल ते सगळं
आता इथे
दिसणार.
हे काय हे करू का?
ते काय झालं ना आता ते
कुठं दिसतंय पण
काय?
विंडो?
दिसत आहे सर.
ते काय विंडो दिसते ना सगळं. आता तुम्ही बोलते ते पण जाणार नाही. आता तुम्ही बोलायचं नाही. आता हे सगळं दिसत आहे. ते क्लोज करा तिकडली विंडो. ते पोरं दिसते ते.
हे
पहिल्याला एक मी करतो.
तुम्ही तिकडं गेले ना हे दिसणार त्याला. ठीक आहे. आता तिकडं जायचं काही काम नाही तुम्हाला. तुम्ही फक्त आता ते मीटच्या विंडोवर राहायचं.
हे दिसतंय सर
आता
आता.
इकडं तिकडं नाही आलं. तुम्ही पण इथलं विंडो
आणि हे कंटिन्यू चालूच राहणार.
ते कंटिन्यू राहणार. त्याचं काही केलं नाही.
तुम्ही ते चालू करा ना सर आता. हे नका
हे
चालू.
हे
ते जाऊ दे, ते जाऊ दे ना. ते मरू दे ते.
सर हे
आता हेच दिसणार तुम्हाला. ते कुठं गेलं ते?
हे काही
शेअरिंगचं कुठं?
हे माहिती.
तुम्ही तिकडं नका जाऊ सर परत. आता तिकडं जायचं काम नाही.
आता फक्त याच विंडो.
आता फक्त ते झालंय चाललं. सिंक्रोनाइज झाला आता. आता फक्त इथंच जे करायचं तुम्हाला काय व्हिडिओ दाखवायचा आहे का? बरं एक काम करा बरं आता. ते खालच्यावाला माईक बंद करा बरं.
Joshi sir, shall we start? Ready? Dhananjay Joshi sir. Okay, okay. So a very good morning to one and all. I, Dr. Mrs. Haripriya Kulkarni, coordinator of this workshop. Then Professor Dhananjay Joshi and Professor Tejaswini Sarode are my co-coordinator in this workshop. and convener of the workshop, Dr. Mrs. N.R. Kulkarni Madam, our Honorable HOD Madam. So we all team have arranged this workshop for you all students. So I welcome you all for a 3 days workshop on core Python programming. Our guest is Mr. Atul Vadkar. We'll get the brief introduction of it. But before that, let me tell you, this workshop is very helpful to you. We have arranged it for the 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from today till 23rd of this month. Timing will be 12 to 2. So all students definitely will enjoy this workshop. I'm sure of it. Okay. Now I hand over to my partner Tejaswini to please give brief introduction about the workshop, about the guest, and on behalf of Electrical Engineering Department, once again I welcome you all the participants, all my colleagues, guests, everyone. Thank you so much. Over to you, Tejaswini.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. My dear students, my colleagues, and today's speaker. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our speaker today, who is going to talk to us about the core Python programming. We all know the importance of programming in today's day-to-day life today, because as we are moving towards the digitization, the learning of AI and machine learning is also very important to us. Okay, so ma'am has told us the importance of the same. So let me introduce the speaker to you. Mr. Atul Vadkar has a experience as visiting faculty at Symbiosis Institute of Design Pune. He has worked as visiting faculty at MIT Institute of Design Pune also, and also University of Petroleum and Energy Studies Dehradun. He has also conducted a number of workshops, seminars, and guest lectures in various engineering colleges in Pune. Also, he has the experience of paper setting, syllabus setting, and autonomy examination at CWIT Pune. This is about academic experience. He has also worked with various industries, and he has particularly the experience in IoT and embedded system designs, and also he has worked with AI and machine learning. And currently, our Mr. Vakar is working as director of algorithmic electronics Pune. So. It will be very helpful for you people to learn the Python programming from our experienced guest, and I hope he will also enjoy teaching you the Python programming. So I welcome you, sir, on the behalf of Electrical Engineering Department, PES MCOE Pune, and I hand over the workshop to you, sir. Over to you, sir. Vadkar, sir.
Okay, good morning and thank you. So first of all, I would like to welcome all the students of the engineering college, and I am thankful to the faculties of the modern engineering college, and particularly the electrical engineering department, for giving me this opportunity to conduct this workshop for the engineering students. So I'll directly start with the presentation, and first of all, about the Python programming. We'll discuss some basics of programming, and after that we'll discuss actual programming in practical sessions. So I'll start with very basics. I'll consider that you people are not aware about any programming language before, and this is for the first time you are doing programming. This is how we'll consider, and we'll go further. So I'll directly start with my presentation. Should I start with my presentation? I think, okay.
Yes, sir. I have
Yes,
stopped
yes.
presenting.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to be a 3-day Python programming workshop, and different topics we are going to cover in upcoming 3 days. This is going to be helpful for your future as a software developer in IT industry, as well as you can apply some machine learning techniques in electrical engineering to solve some problems. So nowadays, the machine learning, AI, these things are going to be very much helpful, and even the small kids are also learning these technologies. So as an engineer, you will be able to solve your engineering problems with this technology, and particularly with Python programming. So we'll discuss that in more detail, why Python and what exactly the programming is. and after that you will be able to understand how you can solve day-to-day life problems or even electrical engineering problems, right from finding current flowing through the circuit or finding voltage at particular node or anything. You can even find out the life of LED or any electrical device. Even you can apply some electrical principles, and you can also implement some electrical principles or laws using this Python programming. So that also we'll discuss as an practicals, but for today's session, we'll restrict our scope toward the theoretical understanding, and secondly, some small programming we are going to do in today's session. So I'll start with the very basics. What is the programming? So many times we come across this term that we are programming, or somebody is working in IT industry, he is coding, he is a programmer, he is a software developer, he is a tester, or even as a part of electrical engineering, you also work on different softwares. So who developed such softwares for you? Or for example, you can solve any electrical problem or any engineering problem with the help of some machines. So what is programming? That is the question. So basically the programming means giving instructions to an electronic machine such as computers, robot, or it can be any machine. For example, it can be automatic door opener system, it can be a refrigerator, it can be a fan, it can be a television, it can be a even small calculator. These are the examples of some electrical systems or some electronic machines. So if you are giving some instructions to such machines, then that process is called as programming. Now basically we are instructing somebody. For example, if you want to instruct some worker in an industry, you will give some instructions in the language that worker understands, and now the worker is going to work for you, and whatever task is assigned, that will be completed by that worker. So here again, we are not talking about any living organism, but we are talking about some machines such as automatic door opener. It can be a temperature controlled fan, or it can be any system, any automated system, any electrical system. If you are giving some instructions, some guidelines to that particular machine, then that process is called as programming. Now we'll understand why we are doing this. As you know, in a country like India, if I talk about just about India only, and nowadays recently, you know, that there is a lot of unemployment in our country. If you are employing machine instead of human being, for example, for automatic door opening, if you are employing a machine, if you are putting some microcontroller over there or some electrical system, that is going to open door as soon as somebody arrives in front of the door. What will happen? The job of some human being is going to be cut off in that case. For example, again, if you are designing an ATM machine, automatic teller machine, which can deliver some amount to you, or you can withdraw some cash from that machine, again that is going to cut off the job of cashier in bank. So this is not just a single example. There can be n number of examples where after employing machine, or after giving some employment to machine, or after giving some instructions to machine, the machine will work like a human being, and after that we are going to cut off some jobs, and eventually that is going to create an unemployment in our country. This is not just true in our country, but it is applicable in rest of the world also. If you are going to employ some machines, definitely some jobs are going to be cut off. But why we are doing this? We are also aware about this, some jobs are going to be off, but still we are preferring this thing. And secondly, the number two reason is some jobs will be created in some other domain, like development of machine, in the field of programming. There will be some employment, so we can create some employment facilities in other domain. That's why we are doing this. And secondly, the coming back to the first very big question, even if it is creating some unemployment, we are preferring this thing. We are instructing some machines. The number one reason is speed. So we can't beat the speed of machine. Actually, if you solve some mathematics by using some pen and paper, you will take some minutes or some hours. But the same thing is possible on calculator within fraction of second. So the calculator is much faster than the human beings. That is one thing. Secondly, accuracy. For example, you go to the bank and you withdraw some money from the cashier. Let's say you are going to withdraw 10,000 rupees from the cashier. Now the cashier is going to count some note and he is going to deliver that amount to you. Now you will count that note at least for 2 times whether accurately he has delivered or not. But when you withdraw from the ATM machine, you need not find any necessity to count the notes because you trust on the machine's accuracy. So as far as accuracy is concerned, no human being on the planet can challenge the machine's accuracy. So machines are supremely honest and they are too much accurate. Secondly, cost. Employing a machine is one-time cost. For example, instead of a human beings in an industry, you are employing a robot who is going to work for 3 shifts, and in that case there will be a one-time purchase cost for that robot. After that there will be a minor maintenance cost as well, but that is a negligible cost. But in case of human beings, you have to employ 3 different mains in order to do the task because industry works in 3 shifts, and again you have to give salary every month. So that will be a continuous you have to pay for the human beings, but for the robot you will have to pay only for one time. That is again the important factor why we are programming. Secondly, honesty. As far as the humans are concerned, we are not honest to our duties. Now this is not just about the corruption, but uh, we can say as our duties or whatever work we are doing, the amount of work we are doing today will not be same tomorrow, and again that will be not same day after tomorrow. So our dedication towards our work varies with respect to time. So we are not able to maintain our dedication towards work throughout the time. But this is not the case with machine. The machine is the dedication of machine is going to be constant throughout the time. So whatever may be the day or whatever may be the season, the machine's dedication will be same towards its work. So that is one of the important thing. Secondly, repeatability, that is one and the same thing. The machine can repeat its action over the period of time. For example, the machine is doing whatever work it is doing today will be same tomorrow. Again, it will be same day after tomorrow. Even after some years, there will be a same outcome from the machine. So that is these are some important factors. That's why we are giving some instructions to machine and we are instructing machine and we are preparing machines or human beings to do some tasks. Okay, now basic question is what is programming? Why we are doing programming? Because we want the machine should work for us and our task should be done by machine. So that is the important thing. Now, this we have understood that we are going to program a machine. We are going to give some instructions to machine, and then we'll understand why only Python programming. But before I explain this slide, I would like to just discuss this thing. If I have to give instructions to an electronic machine, what language should I use? For example, if I have to give instructions to a worker who understands Marathi, I'll speak in Marathi and I'll give some instructions. If somebody is there who understands Hindi, I'll give instructions to him and in a Hindi language, and that instructions will be understood by that particular person and he is going to work for us. And similarly, if somebody understands English, I'll speak in English so that he'll understand. So if I have to give instructions to some person to do some task, I'll speak in the language which that person understands. Now here comes the question. If I have to give instructions to an electronic machine, what language should I use? Because as far as the electrical system is concerned, it is not a living organism to understand any language. It's even not the animal to understand some gesture kind of instructions. It's purely an electrical system. As far as the electrical systems are concerned, they understand the language of voltage and current only. Now, many of you will say, when I ask you which language computer understands, I will say the computer understands Python, the computer understands C language, or the computer understands Java or any other language. But this is not the true. The computer understands only the language of voltage and current because it's an electrical system, electronic device. It will understand only the language of voltage and current. Sometimes this language is called as machine level language or the machine programming language. Sometimes this language is also called as binary language or the language of ones and zeros. So for example, if the machine understands the voltage and current, and it understands the binary level language. So this language is very much difficult for human beings. So I can't speak in terms of ones and zeros or in terms of voltage and current. That is going to be very much difficult for me. So what will be the way out? For example, in a simple language, I'll ask you, for example, if you have to speak with the Japanese person and the Japanese person don't know your language. So Japanese person don't know English, and again, you don't know Japanese. So what will be the way out? Now there can be two options. Either you can speak in some symbolic language or some gesture language. This is the one option, but this is not the efficient way of communication, because it is not going to convey the proper information or the maximum information to that person. Now, secondly, you can use a translator in between. So there will be a translator. It can be a third person or any Android app which will translate your language to the Japanese, and again Japanese language back to English. This is how you will be able to establish communication between the Japanese person. Same thing happens in computer, in electrical machines, in microcontrollers, in microprocessors, in PLC, in other automation systems, in robots. They do not understand Python, C, Java, or any other language. These languages they do not understand. What they understand only the language of voltage and current. So what you will do, you'll write code in C or in Java or in Python or any other programming language, and there will be some software which will convert that language to machine code. For example, there can be a compiler software or any translator software. So up till now, whatever compiler softwares you have used, you may have used Turbo C for C programming or any other software that is going to translate your code into machine code. Okay, your high level code into machine code. So here again we are going to use some translator software, but this time it will be an interpreter software. We'll discuss that later on, but that will be a translator software. With this discussion, there will be a next important question. If I have to use a translator and I know how I can give some instructions to an electronic machine, and if there is a translator software, then why I'm learning this Python, C, Java, .NET, or any MATLAB or VHDL, such kind of programming languages? If there is a translator, I'll speak in Marathi, Hindi, or English, or I'll give some instructions to machine in Marathi, Hindi, English, or any other language, and that will be translated to machine code by using some translator software, and that is going to work. So these things, when we look at this particular scenario, it seems to be a logical one, but actually it is not. Basically, we can't actually convert our natural or whatever we are speaking, that verbal language, into machine code. It's not the limitation of the translator software or the engineering development in this particular area, but it's the problem with the language. For example, consider a simple English language statement. I saw a boy on hill with a telescope. So I saw a boy on hill with telescope. So what will be the meaning of this statement? The number one meaning is I am having the telescope and I am watching that boy is on the hill. Now this is the number one meaning of the statement. Second meaning of the statement can be the boy is having the telescope and I am watching. So there will be a multiple meanings of single statement, and it's not just true for this particular statement, but you may have come across many statements where there is no unique meaning for each and every statement. So single statement yields the multiple results, and this is happens in case of our English, Hindi, and any other spoken language. But as far as the machine is concerned, it needs a single meaning from each and every statement. So when I say door open, that means door is open. There should not be any other meaning. When I say door closed, in that case the meaning should be door closed only. There should not be any other meaning. So in order to convert or in order to understand the English language statements or Marathi statements or the Hindi statements, it needs complex analysis and context to understand this. But as far as the machines are concerned, the machine are it not that much developed, as we are replicating the brain of human beings in the machine, but still they are not that much developed to understand the spoken language. That's why we have to learn some mathematical programming languages, and that's why some programming languages like Python, C, Java, such languages are developed. Now, why Python only? There are a number of options. You have got C, you have Java, you have .NET, you have MATLAB, you have VSDL. There can be thousands of programming languages. Still, why we are learning this? The number one reason is the Python has healthy, active, and supportive community. Meaning, whenever you are learning this Python programming, there will be number of people to support you. You can put your doubts and queries in online forums, and within some hours or minutes you will be getting replies from the experts, and they will be helping you to learn this Python. Secondly, the Python is used for AI and ML. The artificial intelligence and machine learning is nowadays trending, and the Python is the number one choice for these technologies. Coming back to the AI and ML, this is going to be a remarkable technology, and even it is the revolutionary technology. As far as the Amazon is concerned, it earns around 35% of its revenue from ML algorithms. Okay, by only implementing this ML in their entire online sale, they are earning 35% revenue. So if they are earning 100 rupees per day, 35 rupees are coming from their ML technology. So Python has got some amazing libraries. Recently, you may have heard about the news that the photograph of the black hole was captured by using some Python libraries, by taking help of some Python libraries. Now, this was again the revolutionary day in the human race, that we were able to capture the black hole's image, and that too with the help of some Python libraries. It is reliable and efficient. It can work on all the platforms, and again it is easy to learn. So that we will understand in upcoming few minutes, how it is easy to understand and it is easy to learn. It can be the first programming language. Now there is some myths and doubts that sometimes it is said that you must know the C language in order to learn Python, but this is not the case. You can learn Python directly without knowing any other previous language. Okay, who are using Python programming? So these are some list of companies. This is just a short list of companies. I'm not giving the full list, but I'm just highlighting these companies so that you all are knowing these companies. The YouTube is using the Python as the major programming language. NASA is also using Dropbox, Raspberry Pi, Netflix, and Google. So these companies are using Python as a major programming language. Okay, so reason is very obvious. In order to have some machine learning, some data science, some data processing, they need a language having strong mathematical background, and the Python is the number one choice for that. Okay, so the NASA is doing some space-related research using some Python, and as I said, the black holes image was captured by NASA using Python libraries like SciPy, NumPy, Pandas, OpenCV. These are some popular libraries in Python. So this is how the Python is very much important in our daily life. Now coming back to the actual start for the practical sessions, we'll have to download the Python from this particular website. So www.python.org/downloads. So you will land on this page, you will find the download link over there, and you will be able to download the Python from this link. Then you'll have to run the downloaded exe file. That will just open that, and as like normal softwares you install in your computer, that will be exe file. Simply you have to double click on that file, and that will open the setup wizard, and just have to click next, next, next to that, and that will install Python in your computer. And after that you can open IDLE. Okay, so this is what is IDLE. It is default translator or interpreter, what we can say, for the Python, IDLE. Okay, so this you can start from your Windows search bar. As far as the day one is concerned, what we are going to cover, so these things, how we can download and install the Python, and how we can use the Python shell as a calculator. Then we'll understand the basic Python syntax, some comments in the Python, some variables in the Python, some numbers in the Python, and some strings in the Python. Okay, so this will be the agenda for today's session. So what I'll do, I'll just open that download page. So once you are here on the download python.org/downloads, you will find this thing, download Python 3.8.5. Okay, this is the link. Now this is going to download the latest version of Python in your computer. Basically, it's going to download the exe file of this version in your computer, and this will going to be helpful while you're going to install the Python in your computer. Basically, just you have to click on the download button. That will download the setup file of it in your computer, and after successfully downloading this thing, you will have to just double click on it, and that will open the setup, and just click on the next. That will install Python in your computer. So once you install Python in your computer, let me just close other windows. So once you install Python in your computer, in the start menu, you can simply search for IDLE. Okay, just search for IDLE. So here you will find ideally Python 3.664-bit. So I have downloaded Python previously and also installed previously. That's why it is showing the older version 3.6 and for the 64-bit computer system. But if you're downloading Python today, it will show Python 3.8.5. Okay, so let it be whatever may be the version. It doesn't matter actually. So I'll be using this version. So I'll open this IDLE. Okay, so once you click on that, that will open the Python interpreter where actually you can start some basic programming. Okay, so it's very simple. So once you install Python in your computer, and once you find that ideally from your search menu, because it's not going to create any shortcut on the desktop, unlike other softwares. When you install any other software, sometimes they create shortcut on the desktop, and they ask to create some shortcut on the desktop. But this is not the case with Python. It's not going to ask you to create any shortcut on the desktop. Optionally, you can create shortcut by right clicking that particular IDLE. You can create a shortcut on desktop also, but it doesn't support that shortcut facility right now. So let it be. You just have to search from the Windows search for IDLE, and that will show you the installed version of Python, and simply you can click on that, and that will open the Python shell. Now it is written here Python 3.6.2 shell. So whatever is the version, that will be displayed over here. So I have installed Python 3.6.2, and that's why it is showing this thing. Now this is Python shell. It's like a command prompt in MATLAB. So if you have used MATLAB, then you must have studied the command prompt or the Windows prompt of MATLAB, where actually you can put some commands and that will be executed. Here again, you can put some commands and that will be executed. Secondly, you can also configure this thing from the options menu, configure IDLE. So if you click on this option, actually you can set some fonts, some size of your font. If you want to have some bold kind of font, you can use here. Some highlighting you can choose. This will be a normal or the default highlighting that Python is going to follow. So these are some colors that Python is going to use. You can also change some colors here from this particular thing, from these options. But for this particular thing, I just keep it as a default. I'm not going to change it, and I'll be using the default scheme only. But you can actually configure as per your requirement. This is just a aesthetic look of your program. You can use different fonts, some italic fonts or some any other fonts you can use, but I just use the default fonts, and I'll prefer to go with the default fonts. But in case you find the font size is small, you can increase the font size as well. So this is Python shell, and it is Python's interactive shell, meaning I can use this shell as a calculator. So without going in details of programming, how the programming is going to happen, how we are going to start a program here, how I'm going to write some program here. So just forget about all those things, forget about the programming, and just keep that Python programming aside and just check it what exactly this shell is. For example, if I write 1 plus 2 and hit enter, it is going to generate result. 3 minus 2 is going to generate a result. It will be 1. Even 6 multiplied by 4 or 3, it's going to generate a result. 7 divided by 2, so again it's going to generate a result. So actually, you can use this Python shell as a calculator. So just like a normal Windows calculator, you can use this shell as a calculator. You can put some mathematical expressions here, and you can able to solve it. Even you can put some complex answers like 4 into 2 or into 4 into 2, and then plus 6 like this, and you will be able to get the answer. Okay. So even you can put some complex mathematical expressions here, and you will be able to solve that. So it can act as a calculator, a basic calculator, just like your Windows calculator or any other electronic calculator. It works like a calculator only. You just put some values here, and just you can get some result. So this is an interesting thing about this ideally. So whenever you will put something, some mathematical expressions, and after hitting enter, it is going to generate some result. Now, second important thing that we'll have to understand about this ideally is that you can't save this program. So if I consider this to be a very small program, but actually I can't be able to save this program in my computer. Secondly, if I want to modify this thing, instead of 4 into 2 plus 6, I want to do it 4 into 2 plus 7, then it's not possible. If you want to erase that thing, or if you want to modify this thing, it's not possible here. So here again, this is not the disadvantage of using shell. Okay, though it's having you find some troubles not be able to modify this thing, and again not able to save this program, but it's not just a limitation. It's like a command prompt. It's like a command window. Whenever you give some command, that will be translated to machine code, and that will be executed. So it's not going to or it's not going to provide you any facility to modify whatever previous commands you applied. You just go on putting some commands there, and it will going to convert into machine code, and again it is going to execute it. Okay, but the Python also provides you the editable option, and from the files menu you can actually open a text editor where you can write some code that you can modify it, and again you can store that code in your computer, and again in future you will be able to load that code, and you will be able to modify that code. Okay, so that is also possible, but this is just the command prompt. Now, how we can understand the syntax of this Python? Okay, so I want to make it some modifiable code. So I'll just open a new file. You can just click on File, New File, or you can just press Control N from the keyboard. So that will create a new file. So this will open this kind of thing. So here I can put some instructions to computer, and the computer will understand those instructions and will convert that into machine code, and after that they will be executed on the machine, and after that I'll getting some result. Now before I actually go into the details of syntax and all, I just give a very simple example. So I'll be solving here some Ohm's law. So my objective is, by writing this Python code, I want to find out some current flowing through the circuit using simple Ohm's law. So I know the voltage of battery, and I know the resistance of my circuit, and then I want to find out some current flowing through the circuit. So if I know the voltage, so I'll just write voltage is equal to, let's say I have a 12-volt battery, and then I know the resistance of my circuit, and okay, so now we'll understand what exactly these things are, or I just write here, it is, let's say, the resistance of your circuit is, let's say, 5, okay, and I'll be able to find out some current flowing through this circuit. So my objective is to find out the current, so I'll write current equals to, as you know, the voltage divided by resistance. That will be a current flowing through this circuit, and it is 5 as a resistance, 12 as a voltage. Now this is the simple mathematical formula, and that will calculate the current flowing through the circuit. Now simply if I write print current, that is going to print the current flowing through the circuit. Now this is very simple program, and with this simple program we'll understand what exactly this thing is. Okay, or otherwise if you are not able to relate it with the Ohm's law, I'll use the basic symbols of V and this is R, and I'll use this current as I, so that V upon R, as you know the from formula, and this is V, only voltage, and this is resistance, and this is current I. So I'll print it as R. Okay. Now this is going to be a very simple problem statement that we are going to solve using Python programming. Now you can say that this is, I can also solve this using some paper. But what I have said already, we are using programming, we are giving some instructions to electronic machines so that the machine should work for us. So now my objective is, I want that machine should calculate, this computer should calculate current flowing through the circuit. So I have the circuit, I know the voltage of my circuit, I know the resistance of my circuit. So I am expecting my the computer should able to calculate some current flowing through that circuit. Now this is very simple program. Now the first thing that you will do, from the file menu, you will have to save this program. So after clicking the save button, you will have to write some name to your file. So you can give any name. So I just give Ohm's law as a name to this particular program, and automatically that will be saved by .py extension. Secondly, many times we make this mistake. We just write here Ohm space law like this. So this is not allowed in Python. You can't save or that particular file name cannot contain some spaces. So you have to avoid this thing. If you want to add some spaces, you just write underscore symbol there, so that that will be correct. Okay, but putting some spaces in the file name, that is incorrect in Python. That is not allowed. That is going to lead some errors in your code. Okay. After that, you will click the save button, and now this program will be saved. And in this particular location, it's going to be saved. You can save in different location also by choosing the proper folder structure. Secondly, the program's name is displayed over here, ohms underscore law dot py. Okay, so this is going to be the name of this particular file. Now you have to run this file. So secondly, you have some options here. From the run menu, you can click on the run module, or you can simply click F5 button from your keyboard. So once you click F5, that is going to run this script. So I just run it, and we'll check it for some result. So here 2.4 amperes of current is flowing through the circuit if your voltage is 12 volt and the resistance is 5. And again, this is to be a formula to calculate the current flowing this resistor V upon R, and finally it is simply printing the value of I. Now as you look at this particular program, you will simply say that it's like an English language statements only. So you created some voltage here, you have assigned some value to resistance, and you have calculated this thing V upon R, and then print it. Simply write, just you read the English language statements, you will find that this program is also similar to that. That's why it is easy to understand. And if you have some previous experience with the C language, this is going to be something different than that. So you'll understand what exactly the differences are. The number one difference, here there is no main function. So in C language, you'll have to use this kind of main function, and inside that everything will be happening. But this is not the case with this thing. Secondly, if you are using C language, then you'll have to use some hash include stdio.h, something like that. You must have used this. So stdio.h in C language, and after that your program will start. So this is again not the case here. Secondly, it doesn't have any semicolons. Like in C language, it was having such kind of semicolons. Okay, in C language, it's not having any semicolon. Okay. Secondly, you have used this V and R as some containers to hold this value. So I'm not going in much technical right now, but just understand this V and R. These are some containers. Containers, they are storing some value. The V is storing 12 as a value. This R is storing 5, and finally this I is calculated like this, V upon R. So this is calculated. But the I is also a container. This is also a container. This is again a container. Such containers in programming, they are called as variables. They store some value, and their value can be changed during the programming. So V, R, and I, These are some variables in programming. So you must have studied variables in C programming. The same kind of variables are there. But in C programming, you will have to define these things. Int, v, then r, and then I, like this previously. But here in this case, you need not find any declaration, and that is actually not required in Python. So we can make some conclusions from this. The number one conclusion is the Python programming is easy to understand and it is easy to learn. Secondly, it doesn't have, or its code written in Python will be smaller than any other programming language, like C language. If I have to write the same thing in C language, then I would have to write some hash include stdio.h, then I have to declare some variables in v, r, comma, I, then I have to take some values from the user, and of course, these things I have to do. Secondly, in order to use a printf statement here, in C language, you have to do printf %d and then comma I. There should be some format specifiers in C language, but this is not the case with Python programming. Here, you need not find any necessity of writing some format specifiers in order to print the value of I. Simply, you write print I and the value of I is printed. But in C language, you would have to write something like printf %d then comma I, such kind of things. That is going to create more confusion and that will be little bit difficult to understand, but these things are going to be very much easy to understand. Now let's try to make this program more readable by putting some comments here. For example, I write here some comment. So I just say this is my first program. Okay, you can write anything. So now what is comment in program? So the comment is not for the computer or not for the electronic machine. Now this is not the instruction for electronic machine. This is instruction for electronic machine. This is again an instruction for electronic machine. This is again one of the instruction for electronic machine. And again, these are some instructions. These all are instructions to electronic machine. So the translator will translate these instructions to machine code and the machine will understand it and will going to work on it. But this instruction, what are written over here, it is for the programmer or it is for the user. It is not for the computer. So this is my first program. So I can put some documentation here. And this thing is called as comment in the program. This increases the readability of your program. By putting some comments in your program becomes more readable, easy to understand. Secondly, it is not like that you have to compulsorily put some comments in program. You have to always write in some comments in program. This is not the thing. It is optional. Either you can choose to write some comments in program, or even you can choose not to write some comments in a program. But a good programmer will always write or always prefer to put some comment in the program. So I write here, for example, the voltage in volts. Okay. Here again I'll write some comment. The resistance in ohm. Okay. And the calculator current, I just write here the current in amperes. Okay. This much amperes of current is flowing through this particular circuit. Now this is how I can write some comment in my Python script. So this will make this program is more going to be more readable. Secondly, I can also write when this program was created, what is the purpose of this program, such kind of documentation here. So that is done by using multi-line comment, and you can do this by using some triple quotes, this kind of thing, and then you can write some. So this program is, you can write all about finding current flowing through circuit. Okay, like this, and then you can put again triple quote. So again, this is again a comment, but this is multi-line comment. So multiple lines are used to make this comment. And this is again a comment, but this is single line comment. So in Python, single line comment is created using hash, and the multi-line comment is created using triple this double quotes, and again this triple double quotes. Everything enclosed inside this will be treated as multi-line comment and will be ignored while we translate this code into machine code. So this is for the programmer, this is for humans, not for the computer. Secondly, you can also use single quotes instead of triple. Okay, now this is this thing again, this is comment, again this is comment, multi-line comment, and again you can write single triple quote also. So in Python, whether you use this double quotes and single quote doesn't matter. Both the things are treated as the same thing and one and same thing. Okay, this thing and this thing is the same thing in Python. So there is no difference between triple double quotes and triple single quotes. So this is going to be same. So this is multi-line comment in the Python. So this is all about the syntax. So you just understand how we can create some comments in Python, how I can put some multi-line comments, how I can write some single line comments, and how I can declare some variables. So I have declared here v as a variable storing this value 12. I have declared r as a variable which will store the value 5. And then I have calculated the just division of it so that it will calculate the value of current, and that is stored in I. And after that, I am printing this I as a value. Now, one of the important thing, now again, what will happen, I'll just check out some errors. If I write capital I instead of small I, so I have used here small I while calculating the current, and I am using this capital I here so that in order to print this. So will it going to work? Okay. So in other words, we are going to check it whether this language is case sensitive. Okay. So absolutely, this is a case sensitive language, and it will throw some error. The name error, the name I is not defined. So many times what happens now, once we get such kind of errors, so we get panic and we try to search this statement, then we try to remove some brackets or adding some semicolons to it, and then we try to rectify that error. This is what the common things that we do. But as an interpreter, or this software, or this ideally has provided you guidelines that this is name error, that this is the error. What kind of error? The I is not defined. That means the I which you are using here is not defined. So you have to just check out the spelling errors. So here it is the lowercase and here it is uppercase. That's the problem. So you write here in small case so that it will work. Secondly, this program is not suitable for the production purpose. For example, if I have designed this software, the simple software, which will calculate current flowing through the circuit once you enter the battery voltage and once you enter the resistance of your circuit, that will calculate the current flowing through that circuit. Okay, that's it. Now, as a programmer, I know that I'll go into the program and I'll change the voltage value here or the resistance value here so that it will be applicable to any other circuit as well. But as a user, the user can be non-technical. So he is going to use this particular software. Now, every time the user is going to open this file, and then he will enter the battery voltage here. And after that, he will enter some resistance value of the circuit here. And after that, the current will be calculated. This is going to happen. This is very bad approach in programming. This is not the user-friendly software, and this is not suitable for the final product. For example, in an ATM machine, you go to ATM machine and you just find once you have to withdraw some money, then you have to open the long code or written in Python or Java, and there in the code you have to change the variable values, how much amount you have to withdraw. Then there is a pin number, there is another variable, again you have to put some value there, and then you have to run that code, and after that the ATM machine is going to function. If this was the case with the ATM machine, nobody is going to use that ATM machine because it's not user friendly. Secondly, your code has to be user friendly. Instead of directly putting some values in the code itself should ask the user to enter some values. Okay, this should happen. So I just make it a little bit modification in that. So I just put here, I just write input. Input is a function in Python that will read the user data. So I ask here, enter the battery voltage. Okay, now the user will understand that he has to enter some battery voltage instead of taking constant value. So again, I write here input, and I write enter. You can write anything. It's not like it has to be correct in terms of the first letter should be capital or small like this, but you can write anything. Enter the resistance of your circuit. This thing. Okay. Now this thing happens. So now once the program will run, it will ask the user to enter some battery voltage, and again it will ask the user to enter the resistance of his circuit. Now he will enter some voltage, he will enter some resistance, and after that it will calculate the current flowing through the circuit, and after that it will print that result. Now, as far as the program is concerned, once you look at this program, you may think that this program is correct. There are no errors in this program. You may find like this, but actually there are some problems with this program. It's not about the logic. The logic is correct. Everything is correct, but it's about some things which are related to the input function in the Python. And there are some problems in the program. So once you run, we will get some problems. Why I'm purposefully putting some problems in the program, so that you will understand how to tackle the error, how to just read the error message, and how to rectify that error message. Okay. Now once we run this program, we'll get some errors, and we'll try to rectify those errors. So I run this program. Now it is asking to enter battery voltage here. So I put my battery voltage as 10. Now 10 volt is my battery voltage. Now it is asking the resistance of circuit. So I just say if 5 ohm is the resistance of my circuit, and as far as the Ohm's law is concerned, I should get 2 amperes of current after hitting enter. After immediately hitting enter, it should display 2.0 amperes. So let's see whether it happens, and otherwise what errors we get. Okay, now this is the error that we got, and this we have to understand this error. Now it shows the error is at this line. The I is equal to V upon R. Here the error has occurred. What kind of error has occurred? It is type error. So once I talk about the type error, then that is related to the type. Type means whether it is integer, float, character. So it is related to that thing. Integer, float, character. Integer means the whole numbers. The float means the floating point numbers. Character means like A, B, C, D. String means the sequence of characters. Okay. In Python, there is no character data type. There is integer, float, and string. So whenever such error occurs, it is related to the type, and it is related to the data type. Unsupported operand. So operand is not supported for this division. In order to understand this thing, let's go back to the code and first of all understand what is operand and what is operator. Here, this V and R are called as operands in program, and this division is the operator. So this operator is going to perform some operations, some mathematical operation on these operands. So this is V and this is R. These are some operands on which some operation is to be performed. And what is the operator? This is operator which is going to operate on these operands. So what this error message says, unsupported operand type. So whatever operands we have, its type is not supported for division. In order to have division, its type is not supported. Now, very first thing, if I have 2 integer number, can I have a division of 2 integer numbers? Yes, absolutely. You can divide 2 integer numbers. If we have some floating point numbers, can I divide 2 floating point numbers? Yes, you can divide 2 floating point numbers. If I have 1 integer number, other floating point number, can I divide? Yes, you can divide. But if you have 2 strings, string means like this. This is string. This enter is a string, sequence of character. Can I divide 2 strings? No, you can't actually divide 2 strings. So what it says, the first operand is of string type and the second operand is of string type. So that means I have entered here 10 and 5 as an integer number. So as far as my understanding is concerned, these are integer numbers. But the Python has taken them as a string. Python has considered this 10 as a sequence of characters or the string. Python has not considered this is to be a integer number. So that's the problem with this thing. The Python's input function, it's the problem with this input function. It always considers data in string format or the character format. So I will have to convert that to integer. So how I can convert any string to integer or integer to float or float to integer? Simply I'll write here int, and that will convert this thing into the integer. Again I'll write here int, and again that will convert to the integer, this thing. And now everything is to be seems to be correct, and now everything should happen properly. Now it is asking the battery voltage, again I'm putting 10. It is asking for the resistance of the circuit, I'm putting 5. I should get 2 amperes as the current, and here it is 2.0 amperes of current. Again, now this becomes little bit readable, but still I don't find this value. So once it prints it 2.0, what is the 2.0? It is the, what is this factor? Is it a current? Is it a voltage? What is the unit of it? I have not mentioned any unit, whether it is in amperes, milliamperes, okay, or in kiloamperes. Nothing is there. Secondly, what this quantity is all about. We can understand this thing as it is asking, it is battery voltage, so I'm putting 10. And again, I can understand this thing also as it is asking for resistance, so it will be 5. Okay, but what this value is all about? This is 2.0 or 2.0, but what will be the unit of this? And secondly, what exactly this quantity is? It's not defined. So let's make this more readable. So I'll simply write here current flowing through circuit is equals to, and I write double quote, comma I. Okay, so current flowing through this circuit is equal to this thing. So by writing this thing, it will print current flowing through the circuit equal to, and after that, this value will be printed. So let's check whether it happens. So again, I'll put here 10 as a voltage and 5 as a resistance. So I get here current flowing through the circuit equal to 2.0. Now again, I'm not getting the unit, so let's add some unit also. So after that, you can also add some unit. So I just add amperes. Okay, so this much amperes current is flowing through this circuit. Okay, now again save this and run this. So again, I'll put here 10 as a number. Then I can put here 5 as a resistance, and let's check out how much current. So now it is current flowing through the circuit is 2 amperes. Okay, now it is correct. Now this is all about how to write a very basic code. Instead of having printing hello or this thing, I have considered this as a very simple example. As you are from electrical engineering background, so you are all are aware about this particular thing. So using this again, you will be able to find you will be able to implement this thing for KCL. You can implement Kirchhoff's voltage law or Kirchhoff's current law using this coding. So I just give that as an assignment to you. So you just find out the voltage at particular node or in particular branch of your complex circuit, or you can find out the current flowing to particular element of your circuit using this technique. Simply, you will take some inputs from the user like this. You will apply some mathematics here, and you will be doing some calculations over here. Okay. Now this is going to be very simple thing. Okay. Now I'll discuss a few more things in details. After that, we'll go for the question answer round. First thing, what are the operators in Python? So Python has got some arithmetic operators. Okay, so arithmetic operator group. So what is arithmetic operators in Python? So this thing, the operator which we have used is the arithmetic operator. So arithmetic operator is plus, then minus, then multiplication, then division. This is arithmetic operator. Similarly, you can write some exponential operator like this, some floor division operator like this. So these are some extra operators in Python. So let's check one after the another. Let's say I have two numbers. So I write 5 plus 2. This is arithmetic addition operator. This is addition operator. So result is 7. 5 minus 2, this is subtraction operator. 5 multiplied by 2, this is the multiplication operator. 5 divided by 2, it is the division operator. Now 5 star 2, it's the exponential operator. This is going to calculate the second power of this 5. Now 5 to the power 2 is 25, as you know. It's a square value of 5. Even it can calculate 5 star 3, it will be the third power of the 5, and as you know, it will be 125. Okay, so this is the exponential operator in Python. Again, Python has got the floor division operator. Now this is going to be result in integer format. So once I have written this thing, 5 divided by 2, that was 2.5. It was a fractional number or the floating point number. But once I'll write this 5 double slash 2, that will be a floor division. This is called as floor division. Otherwise, I'll just put a comment here, floor division. Once I hit enter, it is going to generate result in integer, not in floating point number. So it will round up our result. So instead of getting 2.5, I am getting this thing 2. Second, one more operator is there, 5 modulus of 2. It's going to generate the remainder of integer division, and that will be 1. So once 5 is divided by 2, its quotient will be 2, and the remainder will be 1. So 1 will be displayed over here. So these are some operators. These are called arithmetic operators in Python. There are some relational operators or some comparison operators also there. For example, 5 greater than 2, whether it is true. If I write this like this, its result will be true or false. When I talk about the arithmetic operators, its result will be integer values. Okay, if the two numbers are integer, the result will be integer. If the result is floating, it will be floating. But when I write like this, 5 greater than 2, it's become the relational operator or the comparison operator. Its result is true or false. It will generate true or false. So is it correct 5 is greater than 2? Yes, it is correct. So result is true. But if I write 5 less than 2, in this case the result is false. So if I write 5 greater than equals to 5, I'm writing like this. So whether 5 is greater than 5, no, it is not greater than 5, but 5 is equal to 5, so that's why it is true. But if 5 is less than equals to 3, now this is not going to be true, because the 5 is neither it is less than 3, and again nor it is equal to 3, so it's false. So this is these are some relational operators. Again, 5 equals to 4. Whether 5 is equal to 4, no, it's false, so it will be false. But if 5 equals to 5, yes, it is true. So these are some relational operators, some comparison operators that we are going to use in programming. Secondly, there can be some arithmetic operators, logical operators are also there that we'll discuss in more details while we are going to discuss if-else statements in more details. Okay, so for this moment, just understand these are some operators in Python. Using some operations, we can perform some mathematics, or we can solve some daily life problem. Now you will say, we are talking about solving daily life problems. So one problem we have solved, to calculating current flowing through the circuit. This is my daily life problem. For example, I have to calculate current flowing through the circuit. So that I was able to calculate using Python. Now, what about the other things? If I have to solve any daily life problem, for example, if my car is moving with certain speed and I have to reach certain destination, I know the speed and distance. Again, I can calculate the time required to reach that destination. So anything is possible. You can even calculate how much water will be there inside your tank by knowing the dimensions of your tank using this programming. So you can able to solve any daily life problem which you come across by using Python programming. Then we will say, what is the role of these operators in programming? Basically, when you talk about any computer system, the basic thing is that there is an arithmetic and logical unit, ALU. So you say come across, there are ALU, arithmetic and logical unit. Now, what is arithmetic and logical unit? It is capable of performing some instructions in arithmetic and logical format. So it is able to solve some arithmetic and logical instructions. So we say computer is replacing human beings, And what is there inside the computer's brain? The computer's brain is CPU. What is there inside the CPU? Inside CPU, there is arithmetic and logical unit, ALU. So any problem that computer is solving, it is just modeling in terms of arithmetic and logical instructions, and then it is solving. So whenever you are facing any problem in daily life, that problem will be converted into mathematics, particularly in some arithmetic and logical instructions. And after that, that will be solved by the computer. So any daily life problem, it can be corruption, pollution, traffic jam, anything, security, any concern. It can be a health related problem that can be solved by using some arithmetic and logical instructions in computer. That's why we are learning these operators. Okay, so now I just conclude with this session, and I will ask for some uh, questions. So I'll just request some questions from the students to just ask one by one, or you can put in chat box rather, so that there will be no congestion. So if you have any queries, you just put in the chat box so that we'll cover each and every query in detail.
Sir, is there any not equal to relational operator?
Yes, there is not equal to operator is also there. So that operator you can actually write like this: 5 not equals to 4, like this. Now this is going to generate a true result. Okay, like this. Okay, now one question is there: how to add pip for CMD prompt for starting? Okay, once you, this is the question, this is related to pip. It is somehow related to installing the additional packages in Python. Whenever you install the Python, or whenever you download the Python and you run the setup, on the first page of that setup, you will find the option checkbox add Python to path. Just click that option. That will automatically install the pip in the command prompt of your Windows, and after that you will be able to install some Python packages in your computer. Okay, but at the for this moment you won't need that. But in future, whenever you are working on some project, you need some additional packages like OpenCV for image processing, for machine learning. You need different packages. In that case, you will have to install some add-on packages in Python. So in that case, you have to just click on that add Python to path option. Okay, next question. Okay, the next question is from Aniket. Can we use Jupyter Notebook? Yes, you can actually use any IDE. Okay, so the IDE which I am showing is the basic IDE for Python or integrated development environment. The programming environment can be anything. So personally, I'm using VS Code. You can use Jupyter Notebook. You can use Google Colab. You can use PyCharm. You can use Spider from Anaconda. There are n number of IDs. Even there are some Python programming Android applications are also there. Those who are there at their native place and don't have access to their laptop or PCs, they can download some Android applications in their phone where you can actually start programming. Also, we have integrated Python programming environment or that interpreter in our website. So at algorithmicelectronics.com/coding, there you will find some interpreter where actually you can write some code and execute. So even if you don't have any laptop or PC, you can start learning Python straight away from your Android phone. And any IDE you can prefer. At the beginner level, I suggest or I will recommend go with the IDE. Once you become a little bit master in Python or have some experience in Python, then switch for Google Colab, Jupyter Notebook, PyCharm, Spider, such kind of IDEs. They are much powerful. Personally, my favorite is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So you can also use that also. Okay, next question. Next question is from Anand Kulkarni. He is asking, does Python have matrix solving facility? As I said, the Python has got strong mathematical background. It is used for image processing. It is used for machine learning. So it has got the strong facilities to solve some matrix. Okay, so matrix algebra, it's possible on Python, and even much more complex things can be done using Python. So yes, it is there. You can solve any mathematics, any complex mathematics using Python. Particularly, if you're asking for the matrices, it has got the library NumPy. Okay, you can use NumPy for array manipulations, for solving some matrices. Okay, so matrix operations. So I just write that name in comment box. Is the Python package which you can use to solve some matrix operations in Python. Okay, even traditional Python can also do the same thing using some for loops and all. But this is the popular package and powerful Python library to solve matrix. Is Python sufficient for us to learn, or we need to learn other languages too? Okay, now there is one question. Python, whether Python is sufficient to learn this, or whether it will be sufficient only if I learn Python and I am not learning any other programming language. So yes, it is definitely sufficient as far as the job is concerned. If you want to get some job in Python, that is, or in machine learning or AI, that is totally fine. You can learn only Python without learning C, Java. It will be sufficient for you to get the job. Secondly, I'll tell you, learning so many programming languages is not the way you get the job in IT industry or in engineering. You just have to understand how programming language works, how if statement works, how we can take the user data. You just have to build up some logic. So once you develop logic inside you, will be able to program in any other programming language. Just like if I have logic to speak in Marathi, if I give speech in Marathi, or if I address so many students in Marathi, I'll be able to address the same thing or same crowd in English or Hindi or any other language if I understand the grammar of other languages. It is the same thing. If you are master in Python programming, then you will be able to program in C, you will be able to program in any other Java, Python, or any other programming language if you understand the grammar of other programming language. So it's about developing logic. It's not the programming language. But as far as the job is concerned, definitely by learning Python alone, you will get job. We have seen that Python code is executed line by line. Is it disadvantage? Okay, this is the question from Omkar, whether the Python code is executed line by line, is it disadvantage? It's not the disadvantage, it's the type of programming language. The C language is the compiled language where entire code is translated to machine code at one go, and after that it is executed. Python is interpreted programming language, meaning a single statement is read, then it is converted to machine code, and then it is executed. Then next statement is read. So it is executed line by line. So that makes it little bit slow as compared to the compiled languages, but it's not the disadvantage. Okay, it's just a type of programming language. Okay, so next question is which book or website is the easiest for learning any new programming language? Okay, if you're starting with some books, there can be n number of books on even Amazon Kindle as well. But you can, I'll not suggest particular book, but I'll just recommend go with the number of websites. There are some online forums are also there. You can just check out that, and you can learn from different forums, different websites, even from different YouTube channels, because that will give you a good idea, or you can earn knowledge from different resources. By restricting scope towards particular book is not the good thing. Okay, the next question is how memory management is managed in Python. Okay, so just like in C language, where some pointers and some arrays and these things are used, In Python, you can also declare such things. You can define some addresses, but there is no such structure like pointers and something like that. Okay, but you can declare some variables, and its size you can calculate, or particular variable. For example, if I declare some variable of integer type, you can also calculate its size, and you can check out at the address, at what address it is stored. So this is how we'll be able to manage it. But in later section, when we are going to discuss the list and tuples, in that case we'll be discussing that thing in more detail, how it is managed in terms of memory, how they are stored in the memory. The next question is what OS does Python run? Okay, if you're asking what platform should I use, should I go with the Windows platform? Should I go with the Linux platform, or should I go with the Mac? So the answer to this question is Python is compatible over the large number of platforms. You can run Python on Windows, you can run Python on Linux, you can even run Python on Raspberry OS, on the Raspberry Pi. Even there is a MicroPython framework, a MicroPython package, which can be run on the Arduino kind of microcontroller. So even on Arduino, you can run the Python. Next question is from Omkar, is asking, can we build web applications using Python? And if yes, what libraries to use? Yes, you can build some web applications using Python as well. Even you can build some Android applications through Python. In order to build some web applications, you can use the Python frameworks like Django or Flask. Okay, these are two popular frameworks which you can use to design some web applications in Python. Okay, but at a beginner level, you go with the Flask framework, and once you got some experience, go with the Django framework. Can we design circuits by using Python? So if you're asking circuit designing, which is happening in multi-sim or spice software, that is not the case, or this is not going to happen in Python. But you can design a Python software to have the interactive software like multi-sim. So actually you can design multi-sim using Python. But yes, you can analyze some circuit using Python. You can find out some currents flowing through the circuits, or any other circuit parameters can be calculated, whether it can be integration derivatives like this. So this was the question from Atharva. You can actually design multi-sim like software in Python. Okay, the next question is from Avinash. What modifications are made to machines to make it understand Python? Basically, the modifications are not done in the machine. The modifications are done in the software which you use to translate the code. So basically, any C language compiler will translate your high-level language code to machine code. So machine code is going to be same for any machine, or for particular machine. Like whenever you have studied 8051 microcontroller, you have studied the instruction set of that microcontroller. So every machine is different. Whenever you are studying Raspberry Pi, its machine's internal hardware is different, its internal architecture is different. If you are studying Arduino microcontroller, its internal architecture is different. So there are no modifications in the machine. You can run Python code on Arduino microcontroller, as well as you can run some C language code also on Arduino microcontroller. As far as the computer is concerned, you can run Java, you can run Python, you are running any other particular programming language on the computer. But in that case, you are not modifying the hardware of your computer. You are just changing the different softwares. You are switching between the software. This is what happens. Okay. The next question is indentation required in Python? Yes, definitely. We are actually going to discuss in that in later section. The indentation is definitely required. Basically, Python doesn't use any curly brackets as like C programming. In C, you have to put some curly brackets and all. That's why there is no such a thing like indentation. But in Python, there is indentation. So we'll be using that thing. Okay, what is PyPy? Is it faster? Basically, all Python packages are hosted on the PyPy, so you can just download some packages. So whenever we are going to discuss some installing some packages, we are going to discuss that thing also. Okay. How to relate machine language with Python? Okay. Basically, you can analogically you can just understand. Okay, if I have to speak with a Japanese person, I'll use a translator who is going to translate my code into Japanese, and again Japanese code back to my language. This is how I'll be able to perform some communication. Similarly, if I say hello, my name is this, तो मैं उसको हिंदी में ऐसे ट्रांसलेट करूंगा कि मेरा नाम ये है. So here I relate that my name is translated to mera naam like this. So similarly, the machine code is not like that. Machine code is like hexadecimal numbers, or it's a stream of ones and zeros. So there can be, if you have studied the assembly language programming, there you have come across some opcodes and instructions. So for particular instruction, there is a binary opcode is there. If you have studied microcontroller or microprocessor, there are some opcodes and instructions. So you can actually relate some opcodes with some instructions there. But as it is the higher level high level programming language, so there is no such thing. Like, you can directly interpret, because there is a in between step like assembly language in other or when you study the programming languages. Firstly we talk about the machine code, then we talk about the assembly language, and then we talk about the high level language. So high level language and machine code, they are far different. There is no we can't actually link them together. For example, print I can't write some binary code. But yes, if you have some assembly language, you can directly, there is one-to-one mapping in case of assembly language or machine language. But here what happens, whatever you have written, that will be counted long streams of ones and zeros in Python. Is Python more secure than Java? Okay, as far as the security is concerned, you can implement any security algorithms in Python, like AES algorithm, advanced encryption standard, or any DES algorithm like data encryption standard. Any cryptography algorithm is equally possible in Python. Even cloud security is also possible in Python. So it's not like Java or Python. Yes, many companies prefer Python as a major programming language, but it's open source like Java also. So security is equally valid for Java and Python. In fact, I'll say both are equally secure. Okay, the next question is from the Anand. He is asking, tell us about Python's role in GUI. So GUI, you're asking for graphical user interface. So yes, from the Python, you can create some graphical user interface. For those students who don't know about the GUI or graphical user interface, so I'll tell you, okay, what is graphical user interface. For example, you are watching this button on my screen. So this is graphical user interface. So I am interacting with machine with some buttons. In ATM machine, you have got some GUI, graphical user interface. You interact with machine some buttons. There are some buttons, okay, graphical buttons on the screen. So this makes your software more user friendly by using some graphical user interface. So Python has got lots of libraries, like Qt framework is there for designing graphical user interface. Tkinter framework is there, which is the very basic framework for designing graphical user interface. Secondly, you can design a web graphical user interface using Flask framework or using Django framework. So the Python is also doing that thing. Secondly, using Kiwi libraries, the Python can develop Android application as well. So any application built in Android phone can be developed using Python's that framework. And for your understanding, you all are using Instagram, so that is designed in Python. Okay, so that particular web GUI is designed in Python. So you can design any graphical user interface using Python. Okay, the next question is from Samir. If you have learned C, will it be easy to learn Java? Yes, basically, in order to learn Java, the common sequences, you have to learn C, then C++, and then go for Java. But for the Python, even if you don't learn C, that is totally fine. You can consider Python as a first programming language. And secondly, if you have learned C, then not only Java, but any other programming language will be easy to learn. Okay, because once you have developed some logics, then any other programming language will be easy to understand. Okay, it will be easy to understand. The next question is from Prajakta. She is asking, how is Python an interpreted language? Okay, in order to explain this, let me go back into the code. So your question. Basically, as far as the definition of interpreted programming languages concerned, the interpreted programming language means every instruction is read. That means this instruction will be read first, that will be executed. Then the computer will read this instruction and that will be executed. This is the flow of interpreted programming language. The whole program is executed line by line. Firstly, this instruction is read, that is executed, its result is printed. Then this is read, its result is printed. In case of compiled language, what happens? This will read entire program once. At a time it will read entire program, then it will convert to machine code and then it will execute. Okay, that means if I write a statement here, print, let's say in bracket Z, obviously you know that Z is not defined before, so it is going to generate an error. In case of compiled programming language, you will not be able to execute even a single line of this. You will not be able to execute this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, because there is an error at this line. Okay, in case of compiled programming language, you will find that there is an error at this line, and during translation it will throw error and nothing is going to happen. But as it is, as this particular programming language is interpreted, firstly this is read and executed, this is read and executed, after that this is read and executed, after that this is read and executed. So up to this line there is no problem, everything will be executed. But at this line it is going to generate an error. So see what happens. So it is, I'm running that code. Okay, so it is asking for the battery voltage. Now this line, no problem, it is executed. It is asking for the current resistance, no problem. It is calculated even this current flowing through the circuit, and at the end it has thrown this error that Z is not defined. So if it is interpreted programming language, every statement is executed line by, or every program is executed line by line. And if there is an error in particular line, so all statements before that line will be executed. Okay, will not be, the execution will not be stopped. But if it was a compiled language, then this thing was not possible in C language. If this was the code written in C language, this thing will not happen. Okay, it will not print anything. Okay, that's how, this is how it's the interpreted programming language. Okay, so it reads a particular, this is how it executes line by line. Okay, so the next question.
Is there any question from student side? Okay, I think those questions are done, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for your time for today's session, and thank you, students, also for joining today's session. Sir, is the session is concluded, right?
Yeah,
for today?
if there are no further questions, we can conclude
Okay,
this
okay.
session.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I will conclude today's session here, and tomorrow we will again meet at the same time. So students, please join tomorrow at the same time, 12 p.m. Okay, and have a good day, everyone. Have a good day, sir, and thank you for your time
Yeah.
today. Sir, can you stop presenting your screen for a moment? Because
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I need to take the screenshot.
Just a minute. Actually, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
trying
yeah.
it.
Yes, sir. I will. Okay, sir.